It's a lot of hypocrisy going on, man. And it's really hilarious how some of these Paige Bueckers fans are making her day about Caitlin Clark.
Right after UConn cut down the nets, some critics were quick to claim that Paige Bueckers is moving the needle more than Caitlin Clark ever could. But are they living in an alternate reality? Bueckers didn't even play in the title game, yet somehow, Clark's name was still on everyone's mind. It's wild how she managed to live rent-free in so many heads during the national championship, overshadowing what should have been a celebration of UConn's storybook ending.
Caitlin Clark was trending at #1 over Dawn Staley and Paige Bueckers for a little bit right after UConn won, right? I wouldn't even say a little bit. It had to be like a 2-hour run. But she was #1, right? Ring on Paige's finger, no ring on Caitlin finger. And gonna put the little asterisk. Paige better than Caitlin, just in case Real forgot. We counting rings here.
The viewership numbers paint a very different picture, one that highlights just how massive Caitlin Clark's impact on women's basketball truly is. If you've been questioning whether the post-Clark era can keep the momentum alive, the stats we're about to reveal might just surprise you. Ready to see the real story unfold?
And some of the same people who didn't want people comparing Caitlin Clark to Paige and Juju, they're doing the same thing, man. It's really ridiculous. It's really ridiculous, man. They couldn't even allow Paige Bueckers to have her day.
The scoreboard said it all. UConn 82, South Carolina 59. This wasn't just a win, it was a statement. The Huskies had taken down the once dominant Gamecocks in a championship showing that perfectly marked the peak of Paige Bueckers' comeback. After missing an entire season due to an ACL tear that nearly derailed her college career, Bueckers battled back to reach basketball's promised land. As confetti rained down, she stood with a championship trophy in hand, a symbol of everything she had overcome to return to the top.
The UConn Huskies defeated South Carolina 82-59 to win the national championship. Now, this is the 12th national title under Coach Geno Auriemma. This UConn team was kind of a prime example of peaking at the right moment because for the past 2 months, they have been absolutely unstoppable.
The victory marked Geno Auriemma's 12th national title, an unmatched feat in college basketball. His legendary coaching career, already cemented in history, now feels almost mythical. On the court, emotions ran high as players embraced, tears fell, and the final net was cut in celebration.
This is the biggest big three, the most talented big three that I can remember in recent history. And these three just coming together, obviously with the role players around them, they have just looked like a well-oiled machine. They breezed through the tournament. I don't know if there was any close game that they had during this tournament, including the national championship game.
Freshman phenom Sarah Strong delivered a breakout performance, offering a glimpse into UConn's promising future. Meanwhile, Azzi Fudd completed her own inspiring comeback, logging key minutes after overcoming injuries that mirrored Paige Bueckers' journey. Her resilience paid off as she earned the Most Outstanding Player award, sealing a storybook chapter for the Huskies.
Paige balled out in the tournament, and before this national championship game, she had a 30-point game, a 40-point game, and then another 30-point game. And Paige ended off the game with 17 points in this national championship game, but she also landed third on most points in the NCAA tournament. So she ended with 477 points. Now, Caitlin Clark holds this record at 492 points in 17 games played. And then Shamika Holzclaw, she has 479 points in 22 games played, and Paige scored 477 points in 22 games played. So she's third on that list. She is in great company, and she had a fantastic tournament.
While champagne was still being popped in the UConn locker room, something ugly was already stirring online. The celebration had barely kicked off when social media feeds shifted from praise to pettiness, hijacking the moment to reignite a tired, manufactured rivalry. Instead of honoring the Huskies' triumph, many used it as fuel in the ongoing Paige Bueckers versus Caitlin Clark debate. Former NBA player Ethan Thomas led the charge, posting, "When I asked why Paige Bueckers doesn't get the same praise as Caitlin Clark, people said she wasn't as good or generational. Well, now she's won a championship, something Clark hasn't. Still stand by that. Or is it something else?" Just like that, a night of victory turned into another round of controversy.
Paige has more rings than Caitlin Clark. I mean, made this whole day about Paige getting the ring over Caitlin Clark. It's crazy, man. Paige going out in a way that Caitlyn couldn't. A national champion. That's the separator behind their legendary careers. Let's effing go.
Within minutes, what should have been Paige Bueckers' shining moment turned into a referendum on Caitlin Clark. Instead of celebrating Bueckers' masterful takedown of South Carolina's defense or her leadership throughout the tournament, the conversation quickly shifted. Commentators and fans alike used her accomplishment as ammo in the ongoing debate over who deserves more praise, more attention, and ultimately, more recognition in women's basketball.
Ring on Paige finger, but no ring on Caitlyn finger. Ring on Paige finger, no ring on your finger, Caitlyn. I mean, they made it all about Caitlyn, bro. Paige Bueckers, more rings than Caitlin Clark. Hey, man, this is crazy work.
The shift was instant. One moment, fans were celebrating an incredible comeback story. The next, the narrative was hijacked by hot takes and comparisons. Instead of appreciating two stars who've each elevated women's basketball in their own way, the focus turned to who moved the needle more. Paige Bueckers' championship was suddenly used as proof that she deserved the spotlight Caitlin Clark had earned all season long.
At this point, I think Caitlyn is Michael Jordan, because everybody is chasing her legacy. At least that's what the fans are making it seem like. It's just crazy to me how ESPN don't have Caitlin Clark as one of the best players in college or women's basketball. But for some reason, every women's basketball player is supposedly chasing her legacy.
The pure joy on the court stood in sharp contrast to the divisive, often harsh debates erupting online. Moments after making history, the players' triumph was reduced to just another data point in a debate they never asked to join. Their achievement was overshadowed by narratives that had little to do with the game itself.
Now, you do have some Caitlin Clark fans getting on Twitter as well and calling them out. I never heard of people putting down certain players for winning a natty until Caitlin Clark didn't win. That's a fact. Paige won a ring, but every tweet I see is about Caitlin. Levels. Why y'all bringing up Caitlin? It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Like, I don't understand it, man. UConn won it all, and all my timeline shows is Caitlyn tears. Man, y'all can't celebrate something in peace.
Beneath all the hot takes and fiery Twitter debates lies something far more telling: cold, hard data. While online voices loudly claimed Paige Bueckers was now moving the needle more than Caitlin Clark, the TV ratings tell a very different story. Strip away the opinions, and the numbers speak for themselves. The gap between 2024 and 2025 viewership isn't just noticeable, it's downright stunning, revealing the true scope of Clark's unmatched impact.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but everybody keeps telling me that Paige Bueckers is going to move the needle on the WNBA in the same way that Caitlin Clark did. Well, maybe she will, but I know one thing. In college, nah. That needle ain't moving. That needle didn't shiver compared to Caitlin Clark.
Let's talk numbers. The 2024 Final Four showdown between Iowa and UConn drew a staggering 14.2 million viewers. Yes, 14.2 million people tuned in to watch Caitlin Clark go head-to-head with Paige Bueckers in a thrilling semifinal clash. That game alone became a cultural moment, captivating both casual fans and hardcore hoops lovers. Then came Clark's final college appearance in the 2024 championship against South Carolina, an all-time record breaker. An incredible 18.9 million viewers watched, making it the most-watched women's college basketball game in history. The numbers don't lie. Clark wasn't just playing, she was redefining the game's reach.
It wasn't the Caitlin Clark effect, but it was still pretty impressive. Look, I got to be honest, this 8.5 million viewers that they drew on Sunday, I'm not going to lie, that's more than I thought it would be. I mean, so I guess if we're going to give them any flowers, they drew a bigger rating than I thought they were going to. So there's that, which was the third most in tournament's history per ESPN, but it was a steep decline from last year's game and a slight drop from 2023's matchup. So 2023 and 2024 both whipped this particular game.
Now fast forward to 2025, where UConn and South Carolina, The same two teams Caitlin Clark faced while setting viewership records met again on the biggest stage. If Clark wasn't truly moving the needle, you'd expect these powerhouse programs to draw similar numbers, right? But here's where the facts speak volumes. The Final Four matchups, UConn versus UCLA and South Carolina versus Texas, pulled in just 4.1 million and 3.6 million viewers, respectively. Then came the championship game between UConn and South Carolina, which drew 8.5 million viewers. Yes, that still made it the third most watched women's title game ever, a remarkable milestone. But compared to the jaw-dropping 18.9 million from 2024, the drop-off is undeniable. The numbers make one thing clear: Caitlin Clark changed the game.
The title game in 2024 brought in a record-setting 18.9 million viewers, as fans watched Dawn Staley's South Carolina team complete an undefeated season and beat the Clark-led Iowa Hawkeyes 87-75. Even with Staley's Gamecocks taking on another superstar in Paige Bueckers and UConn, led by great coach Geno Auriemma, the game could not stack up to 2024's.
The math is simple. Over 10 million viewers who tuned into women's college basketball in 2024 didn't return in 2025. That's not a slight dip, it's a massive drop-off. This isn't just fluctuation, it's a shift in gravity. When most athletes move the needle, it's by a few percentage points. When Caitlin Clark does, the entire dial spins. Her impact isn't subtle, it's seismic.
So with less homes being counted, the number was 10 million people greater. Folks, in order to cut through the bullshit, I'm going to give it to you straight up. These numbers are pathetic. These numbers are abysmal. These numbers aren't good.
What makes these numbers even more striking is the context. The 2025 tournament wasn't short on storylines. South Carolina was the reigning champ, Paige Bueckers was staging an emotional comeback, and UConn was chasing another title. These were powerful narratives that typically drive viewership. Yet, without Caitlin Clark on the court, millions chose to tune out. The trend is impossible to ignore. In 2024, it wasn't just the Final Four. Games featuring Iowa consistently broke viewership records throughout the tournament. Even regular season matchups and early round games drew massive numbers. At one point, even Iowa's practice sessions were grabbing headlines. The buzz didn't just follow women's basketball, it followed Caitlin Clark.